Welcome, everyone. Today, we're tackling one of the biggest drains on modern productivity, the inbox. We're going to learn how to transform Claude into your personal communication strategist, helping you draft, summarize, and prioritize complex threads with absolute professional excellence. Let's get started. Let's kick things off by defining what AI-powered inbox management actually is. As a professional, you are likely bombarded with dozens, if not hundreds, of emails daily. The what here is leveraging Claude not just as a spell checker, but as a strategic communication partner. The why is simple: time and impact. We spend hours managing our inboxes. By using Claude, we transition from painstakingly typing out every word to orchestrating the message's intent. You become the director, and Claude becomes the writer. In our deep dive, we realize this requires a mindset shift. You're no longer just answering emails. You're engineering prompts to command an AI to synthesize information and draft high-impact responses, saving you hours while making you sound more professional than ever. Take a look at this flowchart on your screen. On the left, we start with the overwhelming inbox, the chaotic reality we all face. Instead of tackling it manually, we route this chaos through Claude AI processing. Notice how the workflow splits into two distinct capabilities: thread summarization for reading and strategic drafting for writing. Both of these powerful nodes converge back to you, the informed human. The AI doesn't bypass you, it empowers you. This ultimately leads to the final node on the right: high-impact communication delivered in a fraction of the traditional time. Before we prompt Claude, we need to understand the anatomy of a perfect email. Think about how you read emails you skim, right? Your recipients do the exact same thing. The basics dictate that we need a strong subject line, a brief connecting opening, and highly actionable body content. Why is this critical? Because if your main point is buried in the third paragraph, it's invisible. How do we fix this? We instruct Claude to use the BLEF method, bottom line up front. We tell Claude to put the required actions at the very top and format supporting details with bullet points. In our deep dive, you'll see that Claude is uniquely exceptional at stripping away corporate fluff and restructuring your thoughts into this highly readable, skimmable format. This diagram breaks down the architectural hierarchy of an optimized email. At the top, we have the perfect email structure, which cascades into 4 pillars. We start with an action-oriented subject line, move to a brief, connecting opening, and then hit the most critical node highlighted in green, the body, using BLEF and bullet points. Finally, we close with a clear CTA. When we prompt Claude, we are essentially commanding it to map our raw thoughts perfectly onto this exact architectural framework. Now, let's look at the actual mechanics of commanding Claude. Vague prompts like "fix this email" are the enemy of good AI output. They result in generic, robotic text. To get excellence, we use the email enhancement prompt framework. The basics require you to define 4 things: audience, goal, tone, and your draft. Why? Because Claude needs boundaries to understand context. Look at the code sample on the slide. This is your master template. You literally fill in the brackets: "I need help with an email to my VP. My goal is to secure budget approval." The tone should be persuasive and data-driven. Our deep dive reveals that when Claude receives this specific metadata, it dynamically shifts its entire vocabulary and sentence structure. It stops writing like a generic AI and starts writing like a seasoned executive. Observe how the prompt framework acts as a processing engine in this flowchart. On the left, we have our 4 distinct inputs: audience, specific goal, desired tone, and your rough draft. They all funnel directly into the prompt framework node in the center. Claude synthesizes these competing constraints and processes them, outputting the polished, tailored email on the right. If you leave out any of those 4 inputs on the left, the quality of the output on the right will degrade significantly. Let's shift from writing to reading. Have you ever returned from a day off to find a 30-reply email thread where everyone is arguing, and you have no idea what was decided? The what here is using Claude to tame that exact chaos. The why is cognitive load. Reading endless back and forth drains your mental battery before you even start working. How do we solve this? You copy the entire thread, paste it into Claude, and use a highly specific extraction prompt. Don't just ask for a summary. Ask for an executive summary, key arguments, and action items assigned by person. As we explore in the deep dive, Claude can parse thousands of words in seconds, accurately attribute quotes to specific stakeholders, and immediately tell you exactly what you, specifically, need to do next. Look at the red node at the top, the dreaded 50-reply email thread. It's heavy, unstructured data. We drop that into the Claude processing engine. Notice how Claude seamlessly splits this mess into three distinct, structured outputs. Level 1 gives you the fast executive summary. Level 2 extracts the nuances of stakeholder arguments so you understand the politics. Level 3 gives you the exact action items. You've just converted 30 minutes of tedious reading into 30 seconds of strategic comprehension. Communication isn't just about data, it's about relationships. Here we explore adapting tone and maintaining professional etiquette. Email is notorious for stripping away tone, leading to massive misunderstandings. The basics of this concept involve using Claude as an emotional intelligence filter. Why do we need this? Because sending a delicate follow-up to a client who owes you money, or delivering bad news to a team, requires extreme tact. How do we execute this? You write your raw, blunt thoughts, and you prompt Claude, rewrite this to be firm but empathetic. For our deep dive, consider the angry email. We've all written one. Instead of hitting send, you paste it into Claude and ask it to professionalize the tone. Claude acts as a cooling buffer, stripping away your frustration while perfectly preserving your professional boundaries and core message. This state diagram maps the emotional transformation of your text. We begin at the top with your blunt raw draft. It enters the Claude tone filter state. Depending on your instructions, Claude routes the text into different emotional states. It can become a delicate follow-up that is persistent without being annoying. It can transform into bad news delivery that focuses on solutions rather than problems, or a favor request built on reciprocity. The AI sanitizes the emotion and maximizes the diplomacy. For everyday emails, a quick Claude rewrite is fine. But for high-stakes communications like a board update or a company-wide pivot, we use the 3-pass editing system. The what is a systematic, multi-step revision process. The fundamental rule here is never trust a first draft. Why? Because trying to fix logic, tone, and grammar all at the exact same time is overwhelming. How do we do it? We prompt Claude in stages. Pass 1, we ask Claude to fix only the structure and flow. Once that's approved, we feed it back for Pass 2, asking Claude to improve clarity and remove corporate jargon. Finally, Pass 3 is just for polish and proofreading. By isolating these requests in our deep dive approach, Claude doesn't dilute its focus. It applies its massive neural network to one specific editing task at a time, giving you a flawless, executive-tier communication. Follow the cascading logic in this flowchart. We don't jump from initial draft to final send. We move sequentially. The draft hits Pass 1 for structure, followed by a human review gate. If approved, it drops to Pass 2 for clarity, stripping out jargon, hitting another review gate. Finally, it reaches Pass 3 for proofreading. This deliberate, step-by-step methodology guarantees that the final green node, the final executive send, is mathematically and linguistically verified for maximum impact. Let's ground all this theory in a real-world, high-pressure use case, the escalated client thread. Imagine you wake up to an angry email from your biggest client. They're frustrated, referencing promises made weeks ago across a 15-email chain. Panic sets in. Why is this the perfect test case? Because it requires both data extraction and extreme emotional intelligence. Here is your how-to execution. First, you paste the entire thread into Claude. You use our summarization prompt to find the exact discrepancy without getting bogged down in the angry text. Claude objectively highlights the factual timeline. Step 2, you prompt Claude to draft an empathetic response using the BLEF method, owning the issue up front and offering an immediate solution. The deep dive realization here is that Claude doesn't get defensive. It acts as a brilliantly neutral third party, allowing you to de-escalate the crisis with perfect professionalism. This sequence diagram maps the exact timeline of a crisis resolution. The client hits you with an angry escalation. Instead of reacting emotionally, you pass the data to Claude. Claude analyzes the thread and returns an objective timeline. You then issue a second prompt for an empathetic draft. Claude returns the de-escalation text. You review it, ensure it's accurate, and send the polished fix back to the client. The AI absorbed the emotional impact and facilitated a purely strategic, professional resolution. As we conclude our training, we must address the most important guardrail: ethical AI use and avoiding what we call automation addiction. The what here is maintaining your human authenticity. The basics are simple: do not automate everything. Your personal relationships and professional judgment are your true value, not your typing speed. Why do we stress this? Because sending unchecked AI emails can lead to hallucinated promises or a complete loss of your unique voice. How do we protect against this? We mandate a human-in-the-loop workflow. Let Claude do the heavy lifting, the 80% draft, but you must apply the final 20% of personalization and verification. The deep dive takeaway is that you are ultimately responsible for what leaves your outbox. Always review, always personalize. Now, to truly master these skills and elevate your career, I invite learners to like, subscribe, and visit quicktechie.com for premium certification prep, including Q&A banks, full ebooks, audiobooks, full-length training, and interview guides. Thank you for joining. Our final diagram illustrates the non-negotiable safety protocol, the human in the loop. Claude provides the 80% draft on the left, but it must pass through the yellow human verification gate. This is where you verify facts and catch any AI hallucinations. Only after your human brain processes and personalizes the voice does the workflow proceed to the final authentic, safe email send. Never bypass the human element.